listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I am your host, Barnabas.
And I am Samael. Welcome to a special episode. Episode 89. It'll never let you go.
No, it won't. And
It already did.
It's either a good or a bad thing. I almost wish I could forget about it. But in today's episode...
Spoiler alert.
Maybe not. But today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the 2020 version of The Grudge. No spoilers. There's already been a lot of, reaction to this movie, and it's been the first big movie of 2020 so far, at least in horror.
Mrs. Matheson.
Although we'll talk about her, but we're going to be talking about The Grudge. It's the first big theatrical horror film release this year, and that's coming up a little bit later in our main segment. And then we're also going to be kind of going over the year in general, what our thoughts are, what we want to see, what we don't want to see, etc.
Yes.
That's going to be a good discussion. It's the first episode of 2020, Samael. Grave Discussions is back, and we're going to be here for a long time. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too, but I'm also not looking forward to the slew of remakes that are going to be thrown up out of the mouth of Hollywood.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. I mean, this is basically one of them, but we're going to get into that. As always, we have to start out with the news, but before that, a big shout out to Sports Radio Detroit and everybody, including our fans. One in particular today, we do have to shout out Meaty Manwich.
Yes, Brian Carbano. Thank you, bro, for the horror care package. He gave us Jason Goes to Hell soundtrack, Shaun of the Dead figures, the Blair Witch PC game, Land of the Dead PC game, Pumpkinhead PC game, Land of the Dead, Fright Night, and Creepshow soundtracks on vinyl, and as well as a bunch of HD DVDs.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
Jack the Ripper collectible figure. Thank you so much. Now I got a lot more hockey masks to make.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're gonna, show you the same kindness that you showed us.
Of course.
And thank you so much. I mean, you're one of our greatest fans, but our fans in general are just the greatest, so thank you.
Yes.
And of course, SRD, you can find those guys on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search for Sports Radio Detroit. You can also check out sportsradiodetroit.com. And I believe that we're still doing a cool thing with Fanatics where you can buy Detroit sports, merchandise. And you can do all that. Helps out SRD. So go check them out too.
Yes.
And now, time to get into the news. It's a new year. We didn't do an episode last week because of the new year. So there's been a lot going on. This first one, another Stephen King thing.
So, they're releasing Jerusalem's Lot, and which is like the prequel to Salem's Lot, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
And Adrian Brody is gonna be in it. He was good in high school. That's the number one movie I remember him from.
Okay.
Because I went to go see that movie, absolutely baked, and like the movie is made to watch while you're baked. That's the only way like you fully can understand that movie is if you're so stoned that you don't even know if you have hands.
Wow.
So yeah,
he's a great actor.
So he's gonna be in this. I don't know how to feel because they're just literally like the past few years they've just been throwing Stephen King adaptations at us. But
yeah,
it's cool that he's making it to the super Hollywood mainstream, and people are beginning to, if they already hadn't, recognize him as one of the most powerful entities in horror, if not of all time.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love Count Barlow.
Yes.
And I think he is one of the coolest vampires for sure. Adrian Brody is also awesome. I've seen him in a lot of stuff, but most recently I kind of know him from Predators and he was in some even newer things, I think. But I'm pretty excited for this project. I really can't get enough Stephen King in the first place. There is a lot of it coming out.
They need to remake The Langoliers if they're going to remake anything.
That would be cool. We've got The Stand coming up as well. So there's a lot of Stephen King in the works and already pretty much on TV.
Well, speaking of Stephen King,
yeah,
they're also bringing Carrie back for a mini series now.
Apparently so, yeah. So Jerusalem's Lot was going to be with Epix.
So FX is bringing Carrie now.
Yeah.
And they said they wanted to either have a person of color or trans be Carrie because it would make more sense nowadays, since those are the people that more than likely get targeted for bullying and all that stuff.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, people expect remakes to be super close to the source and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And sometimes that works, but
it doesn't work nowadays. Who's bullying the short, quiet, blonde girl whose mom is religious?
Yeah, not really.
Nobody.
Not really anybody. I mean, there's still meanies and bullies out there in the world, of course.
At least it's not 80s bullying where they'd be let's pull a prank on him and they pour acid on you. Haha, nerd.
Yeah, but old horror movies that had to deal with social issues.
Oh yeah.
That kind of stuff adapts best when it's contemporary.
Yeah.
Child's Play was the exact same thing. People were pissed off that it wasn't a possessed doll, but that was a scary thought in a child's mind, I think, at that time.
Now it's AI.
Now it's robots and AI and all that shit.
The one movie that now more than the 80s, I would say, matters for what's going on in society, They Live.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be I don't think it would be good to remake that because it would literally just be the same thing now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it wouldn't be quite the same 80s cheesiness, obviously.
Yeah.
Because Roddy Piper is he's just a character, man. But that's a whole other discussion. I would still like to see it because I think it would be cool. But I am kind of interested in Carrie as well. I'm excited to see how they're gonna adapt with the kind of socio-political type of stuff in this one. But FX is bringing that in hopefully this year as well. And then this last article is I just saw it today, so it's brand new, and I'm actually kind of excited about it. We were talking about Charmed earlier, and this article actually reminded me of that for some reason, because we're going to be seeing a brand new Dracula inspired series called The Brides, which just got a pilot order from ABC and is coming from the creator of Riverdale.
And it's going to be super erotic from what I read.
Yeah.
That was their intention. It's going to be horror, but it's going to be erotica.
I get it, because, I mean, a lot of vampire stuff is kind of seductive anyway.
It is,
when you've got the Brides of Dracula.
As long as it's not Twilighty.
Well, I don't think it's going to be Twilighty, but since it is from the creator of Riverdale and also Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, it's going to have, I think, that dark tone to it, and it probably will be very adult, but it's also kind of be a little fantastical and a little more geared toward the young adult range.
That makes sense. I mean,
but I think that's fine. I mean, I don't think they're going to make The Brides of Dracula 22-year-olds.
Oh yeah, no.
They're going to be older than that, I'm sure. So I'm excited for it, and I like vampire stuff, so I'm a little biased, but
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, ABC I think is okay, but not a lot of their shows stand out to me. So
think about the budgetary constraints because it's ABC though.
Yeah, and depending on how many episodes they film as well.
Should have got picked up by Prime, but what do I know?
I think that would have been perfect for it.
I think so too.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that one. Now we've got a couple trailers to go through. One that I left off that just dropped as well. But I still want to mention it because I guess it's kind of bigger. I don't know. But Brahms The Boy 2. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've heard.
Yeah. So the sequel to, I think, 2016's The Boy, starring Lauren Cohen.
With the dude in the walls?
Yes.
And she's from Walking Dead, right? She plays Maggie.
Yeah, but she's not coming back for this one. This one has Katie Holmes, I think.
What the fuck? Where has she been? After that divorce with Tom Cruise and the cult of Scientology going after her ass, most likely.
Yeah.
She's just been in the shadows.
I don't know, dude. Unfortunately, I forget what date it comes out, but I think it's very soon. It's either January or February. So that's exciting. But this first actual trailer here is for Netflix's Lock and Key.
And that just dropped today, actually.
Yeah. A few of these dropped today.
You were on that shit. So like his family moves in with their like dad and mom into this big ass house castle thing.
Yeah.
They start to find keys and unlock these worlds and shit. But then something evil is also after the keys. So that's the premise. It looks great. It's more like a dark fantasy, it seems like, because it seems super adventurous and really like not like tonally it was not like super heavy with the horror elements. It was like super subtle. So
here's the thing. Actually, I just want to interject because I also read some stuff on it today. It's based off of a comic book series, a graphic novel series by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. And apparently there's like a huge cult following for the graphic novels because it's like a masterpiece, I guess, which I can believe, but there were people that were saying like the show doesn't really match the tone of the graphic novels because the graphic novels seem much darker, much more horror skewed, whereas the show kind of feels a little more like young adult almost,
like some Del Toro shit.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about when I was watching the trailer, comparing it to The House with the Clock in Its Walls or whatever that movie was.
Jack Black movie?
Jack Black, yeah. It kind of had almost that same tone to it, but it looks like there's going to be like blood and shit like that. So I'm hoping we get some good horror elements as well, but it does look good. Yeah.
Yeah, it did look good. It's just, like I said, dark fantasy, not super dark as most horror movies nowadays. I mean, you have to like really make this for everybody,
Oh yeah, for Netflix, definitely.
So just a dash of horror will attract some horror fans. The coming of age thing with the kids will attract the kids. And then, just being Joe Hill will attract the Joe Hill fans.
Yeah. And, I don't really think I've ever seen Netflix put out a Netflix movie that's been like really hardcore. Like it's pretty much all stuff
Apostle.
That anybody can watch. Well,
that was fucking crazy.
That was, yeah.
Probably one of the best movies of that year. That shit was bad shit. That's probably the most hardcore thing Netflix ever released.
That's true.
Now they just need to release Serbian film.
No.
No?
Please,
okay.
no.
Save that for
that
Tubi.
would be hilarious, dude.
Just having a bunch of people complain.
That's like the first thing that pops up on Netflix.
It's the craziest movie ever released on Netflix.
There are going to be people out there who are like, it was so boring, like 20 minutes and I turned it off.
Yeah.
It's like, man, all right, good.
I'm sure you
spared yourself. But yeah, no. I'm fine with it. I think it looks good. I like this type of fantasy stuff anyway. So I'm here for it. February 7th on Netflix. Next up, a really big one, probably the biggest one here. A Quiet Place Part 2, March 20th, coming out in theaters.
Yep. And the mother and the kid or whatever, like, they're wandering and shit, and then they happen upon this group of people who are like good guys and bad guys. And
yeah.
We're probably going to see some Walking Dead apocalyptic type shit. I already don't like it, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. The first one was cool because it really just centered like on this family. And it was just at like their house and everything and showed how they lived and adapted to surviving amongst these monsters or whatever. But yeah, this one definitely feels a little more generic strictly because the premise is like Walking Dead, like, yeah. So if they do something a little bit different and interesting, I think it'll still be cool. Like I'm still invested in the whole monster angle. Like I want to know what they are, like where they came from, etc. And yeah, I guess it depends on what they do with the sound here. Like this one already had like more fucking gunshots in it in just the trailer than I think the first movie had like at all. So yeah, we'll see. But I still want to see it. So March 20th in theaters. The last one actually is probably the thing I'm most excited about.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
And it's The Woman in the Window.
So this woman who's scared to leave her house, she's agoraphobic. She has one of the neighbors come by, then her neighbor gets killed, and then her husband comes by with his pseudo-wife. It's like, oh, this is your neighbor. You've never met your neighbor. And then they're like, stay out of your neighbor's business, and you see people like breaking into her house, and like the police are in on it, I think, and it just looks like a fucking ride.
Yeah, it really does. So Amy Adams stars in this one, and it's going to be directed by Joe Wright, who also did Hannah and Darkest Hour. And this one definitely is a little bit more thriller but definitely some horror elements in there with the lighting, especially very moody and creepy a lot of the time. And then Amy Adams' character, there's this whole like angle where she's kind of questioning her own sanity, like whether she actually saw these things or not. So that part is cool. I've seen people compare this to like Rear Window, sort of, because of like the voyeurism and the whole like crime angle and everything like that, which I can kind of see. So, and I love Rear Window, so I am actually really interested in this one. And every time I see Amy Adams in something, she kills it. So I already know it's going to be good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that one's coming out May 15th in theaters. Go check it out. Let us know if you're really excited or not excited about any of the news we talked about. But one last thing here, guys, we do have a few messages from some other SRD shows, so stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, Fred, so the people at Sports Radio Detroit want us to cut a promo for Parsons and Slow.
Want them to cut me a check for Parsons and Slow.
Well, I've Googled some keywords, and I'm going to put them here in a promo. So here it goes. Ready, Fred?
Yeah, analytics away.
Parsons and Slow. We have the content consumers crave. Listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere else that podcasts are available, or we'll kill you. We won't really kill you. Just listen to our podcast, brand new, every Friday on Sports Radio Detroit.
Okay, I'm ready to do the promo.
Oh, that was it.
Do you love pop culture? Discussions about pop culture? Ranking and rating treasured pieces of that shared culture against each other?
I do think Flea's a good bass player. He does what he does very well. And like I said, he's like a rock star, He's eccentric. What is so funny?
I just didn't know he talked so long about Flea. I didn't know anybody had so many feelings.
I do.
So many
I got
feelings.
yeah.
Music, movies, television, food, sports, pro wrestling. We are the determination of what is over or underrated across all fields of greater cultural consumption. Subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts and Podbean, or visit us at sportsradiodetroit.com. Over Under Fair, your final word in pop cultural relevance.
And welcome back, Gravers. So, as promised, on today's episode, we are going to be reviewing the first real, big horror film of 2020, Nick Pesce's The Grudge.
Oh, we sure will be reviewing it.
Yeah, we sure will be. So, first things first, I want to get out of the way, just the background, the premise, what this movie is, real quick. So, this one coming out of Sony Pictures. The Grudge, of course, is a long-standing horror franchise now. It's at fucking 12 movies or some crazy number like that. It started off, of course, in Japan, not with Ju-on the Grudge, but actually with Ju-on, I think The Curse was the first one. So The Grudge is actually part 3 of the franchise. They remade it in 2004, of course, followed up by some sequels that nobody really liked. And now we have this one.
Yeah, and this one, ties The Curse all the way back, a la Sinister style, saying every incident is related and it all stems from, the same curse. And
yeah,
there's only one Asian person in the movie, which kind of threw me off, and it's Harold from Harold and Kumar.
Oh my god, yeah, John Cho.
And
kudos to you, man.
Kudos to you. And yeah, that's what kind of was missing from the creepy element for me. Is just American ghosts.
Yeah.
The whole Asian ghost thing was fucking terrifying. I remember when me and my friend Conrad watched the original Grudge back in 04, when we were about 10, 11 years old. And that shit was fucking crazy. We were just sitting there eating ramen noodles. What the fuck are we watching right now?
The American one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even that one, I just watched it the other day, again. It holds up, honestly.
It does.
It's not one of the worst remakes ever.
It's probably one of the best, actually.
Yeah, people were just caught up. People have always been caught up with just hating remakes just by nature of what they are, which, isn't really feasible, I think, because look at The Thing, look at The Fly, look at Evil Dead. There's so many good horror remakes
Friday
out
the
there.
13th was actually good. I don't care what anyone says. That was better than almost all of the sequels.
But this one, I almost would have preferred if it was just another fucking remake, and they made it, you know, in a Japanese setting.
Bro, this wasn't. It
like,
didn't even
I don't
feel
know.
like The Grudge. That was the big thing with me.
Yeah.
They might as well call it Boo Haunted House.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be like, I saw it referred to as an interquel or some shit like that. It's supposed to take place during the events of the 04 and 06 films, but it barely feels like it actually has any ties to those at all. So first of all, I don't even know what the fuck this movie is, but I wanted to start off with the good stuff because
that's what I wanted to start
if
off
you haven't
with.
figured it out yet, like we mostly feel negatively about this film.
But the lighting was kind of crappy at times, but the cinematography was fucking wonderful, dude.
Yeah, I think the cinematography was fine.
Like, it was, especially like the first 20 minutes, it was just shot so well. And then it just like, they just made it like super simplistic after that.
I mean, it had blockbuster cinematography, which is not necessarily a bad thing at all.
No.
You know, for horror, like, I guess nowadays if you just go to like the movie theater to watch horror movies, it all kind of looks the same, more or less. But I think this one actually did it well. I think it captured all the scenes. I mean, in a good way. I didn't like the lighting and stuff that much, so that's that.
Yeah, there were scenes
guess,
where like we couldn't
camera
even,
work was good.
We couldn't even see like the main character's face.
Yeah.
Like, you remember when I turned over and I whispered to you, I was like, yo, this lighting is ass.
Yeah. And I really thought it was too, and like the color grading was bad. It was just that gross yellow.
Yeah.
I guess we're talking about the bad shit, but I still appreciated the cinematography in this movie because it was just like, it wasn't masterful, but it was good.
Yeah.
And then add the really cool practical effects.
Yes.
For the most part. So the ghosts, I didn't think it was all that impressive.
Acting, though.
Yeah, the ghosts just looked like dirty people.
Yeah.
Dirty American people. Like,
yeah,
that's
like
it.
bums.
Yeah, so I didn't particularly care for that. Like, you know, the white face with the black, you know, eyeshadow and shit like that, and just whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe it's a little cheesy on like your fourth rewatch of The Grudge, but it was still effective. This one I didn't really like the makeup, but the gore scenes and pretty much every other practical effect was great.
Yeah. Everything in that aspect was done well.
Yeah.
The acting was really good too. The pacing, now let's talk about the pacing.
Okay,
now that we've
that's
got
pretty much the only good stuff.
like, we've done the good.
Yeah.
Cinematography, practical effects, and acting, top notch. Good job.
Yeah, acting
we
was good.
commend you. Now let's talk about the pacing. God damn it, making this movie mystery style. You know what I hate? What I really hate? When there's a mystery in the movie, but we know what's going on and they don't. It makes it seem like their exploration has no point, since the movie is trying to... The audience is us, so why are you showing us a mystery that we already know the answer to?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's kind of dumb. I didn't like that they just revealed too much in too many spots in this movie. You're exactly right. We already knew what was going on. In like the original movie and the 04 remake, it told us what the curse was, what the grudge was.
When someone dies in a rage.
Yeah, but we didn't actually know about Sayako's like history or any of that stuff. So we had to figure that out along with the main characters, you know.
Exactly.
This one we pretty much like know what the fuck happened, and it's just showing us what happened. All the scares were telegraphed too, but that also is attributed to the pacing and the editing. I just thought it was terrible. It's like this movie was trying to take like the meanest shit of its life. It's just like, all right, we just got to get to the end. Let's just do this for 5 seconds. Throw in a scare. Do this for 10 seconds. Throw in a scare, or like telegraph a scare with somebody walking by in the background. Clear as day. You're like, oh, okay, well, now I know that something's coming.
Yeah. Or just like the straight 20 minutes of nothing happening with foreboding music.
Yeah. It was either just action, or 20 minutes of the detective talking to, you know, the other detective or something stupid happening.
And then the thing is, like, I know they wanted to do character development so we know who she is, but like, it was just like, her husband died, cancer, Okay, and
Yeah.
that's it.
That was pretty much it. That was like her whole character. Now she gets wrapped up in the Grudge, and that's essentially it. Trying to figure out what happened with the people who lived in that house, of course, but we already know what happened to them. So it was kind of all over the place, like trying to juggle. So the Grudge has always juggled timelines.
Yes.
It's always been non-linear, and people know that, but I think the original movies still did a pretty okay job at allowing us to follow them. This one I could follow what was going on, but it just felt clumsy because it was 3 separate timelines with different characters, but in separate years as well. So it's like, I don't know. I just don't think it worked.
The pacing also made the movie seem longer than it was. This movie was about an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
It felt like we were in that movie theater for just as long as we were in there for Midsummer.
I know. I mean, so everything felt very frantic and fast-paced to me in a lot of this movie, but yeah, it felt really dragged out because it's just like, all right, what more can possibly happen in the story right now, and should I even care? That's how I was feeling anyway.
And then the ending, I'm not going to say what it was. You go see this movie for yourself, even though I don't recommend
I
it.
strongly advise against it.
But like the ending made the whole movie seem pointless. And
Yeah.
I'm all for endings where bad shit happens, but like the way it ended made it seem like there was resolution, and then it did the stereotypical shit of like, psych, you didn't get rid of the ghost. It's like, yeah, no shit, everyone knew that.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much just a given at this point because they have to hint like a sequel, even though I'm not sure that this movie's going to get one, honestly, but I didn't like the ending very much at all. And I'm just surprised, like I think all the pacing and everything like was just so bad, and it ruined the suspense. Like there was no tension in this movie. And again, I don't know if it's because you just can't see shit, or if they telegraphed everything, or if it was just too poorly edited, or just a mixture of all those things. But I was never really like nervous or on edge or anything like that. There were a couple scenes that had potential, but I don't know, man. I think that the studio butchered this movie because they were like, all right, just give them a lot of scares and do the whole with their head shaking and the camera shaking. I hate that shit so much. And it's just like, it's pushing in on the camera.
Also add creepy little girls.
Yeah. Yeah. And they didn't use the yowl effectively either, like the cat meow. They didn't use that very effectively at all. And I just didn't get an actual scary atmosphere from
2 out of 5.
a movie that's supposed to be scary. I did 1 out of 5 because I was just really disappointed. And I'm especially disappointed because I like the director.
Yes.
Beforehand, Nicolas Pesce is actually a great director. I've seen.
Did he write it though? That's the problem. Did he write it?
I think he did, but there was probably outside influence. I think because like The Eyes of My Mother was fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it, but that was one he did. It was black and white, like brutal, visceral. That's what I wanted this movie to be, and it was brutal at times, but it wasn't visceral. It was just dark visually, but not really like dark. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So again, I don't know if somebody nudged him in the shoulders like, make this faster, make this pop up here or whatever.
Honestly,
but
probably
it feels like it because he at least can exhibit some patience and add some artistic flair. I wasn't really feeling that from this movie. It just felt kind of like soulless. I don't know how else to describe it.
Felt like it was very uninspired.
Mm-hmm.
This was just like, the way I felt about this movie is the same way I felt after we went to go see Curse of La Llorona.
Oh yeah,
it's the same movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we shit on that movie too. So yeah, I'm very disappointed. I mean, I wasn't expecting much out of The Grudge, but I was expecting a little bit better, and we didn't get it.
Just as a big fan of Ju-on and shit,
mm-hmm.
I was super let down. I don't know, man. Like, it's because I think it's definitely because they Americanized the ghosts and made them look like bums.
Yeah. I just think that there was no actual suspense in this movie.
And the story wasn't just coherent enough for me to care about it, so...
Yeah, that's fair too. I really didn't even end up caring about any of the characters. I mean, Lin Shaye's character was kind of cool.
She was the best one in there.
And crazy Lin Shaye.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
She played a better crazy role in Dead End, though, so...
Yeah, I agree with that. But she was cool in this movie. Other than that, I didn't really care about too many of the characters. Like her husband as well was cool. I like him generally as an actor, but yeah, I wasn't overly impressed. But I hope that Nick Pesce can move on and do something else that is good. But maybe he needed to stay in the indie scene. I don't know. But I don't have anything else to say about The Grudge. Do you want to say anything else?
My mom told me if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But fuck that. This movie sucked. Yeah, I can't wait for the next big release that disappoints me.
I'm sure there will be many, unfortunately. But that's what we think about The Grudge. Let us know what you guys think about it. We're going to give you all our social media information at the end of the episode. But if you're not following us yet, you should. So we're going to take a very, very brief break here, and then we're going to give our kind of overview of horror in 2020. Stick around. All right, Sam. So a brand new year, a brand new decade as well. So now we're going to have to start tracking our favorite movies of the decade, I think. But horror in 2020 is very interesting, I think. I compiled like a little list of new releases this year. And it's theatrical stuff, it's indie stuff. Some stuff, most of it has a date, but some stuff is kind of TBA right now because it's going to festivals or it just doesn't have a firm release date or something yet, but are probably expected to come out in 2020. So there's a lot of movies, and I just want to know, first off, what you want. Well, what are you expecting to kind of see overall in the genre in 2020?
Honestly, unfortunately, in terms of like the paranormal horror, I'm expecting to see the same shit.
Yeah, I mean, we already kind of did.
Yeah,
with The
we
Grudge.
just did. We just
very,
saw,
very cliche.
which is basically the Curse of La Llorona Part 2. And only thing I'm really excited about is the third Conjuring, which I really hope it's better than Annabelle Comes Home, which was just this really isolated, really just for fun movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want any Blumhouse straight to Netflix releases like Mercy Black or anything like that.
No.
I'm excited about Halloween Kills because, as we were talking about, a lot of people are saying it's like super brutal,
Yeah.
which I'm really, really excited about. And, you know, the return of James Jude Courtney playing The Shape, which is arguably the best portrayal of Michael Myers, right next to Nick Castle.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, another talking point is I don't want to see any more remakes. I don't care for them.
Yeah.
If they come out this year, I'm probably not even going to watch them.
You know, I mean, when considering like the big movies this year, yeah, there are a few, but I think there's actually a decent number of original films and sequels that are coming out. And sequels, it's debatable. I mean, I don't really think they're too bad. Like, you know, Sinister 2 and stuff like that wasn't the best, but I don't usually mind seeing sequels because you can get something like The Strangers Prey at Night, which actually wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't too bad at all.
But we are going to see like Candyman. That's going to be a remake.
I forgot all about that.
However, you know, Jordan Peele's attached to it. Got a fresh new director. Brand new pretty much to like the genre, if I recall correctly. And I think it's going to be exciting. I think that one will be pretty cool, depending on how creative they kind of get with it. But there is that. Other than that, I can kind of agree with you. Like, I just don't want to see bad remakes. You know, I don't really have too big of a problem with something getting remade if it is, you know, a bit older, 30 years now, basically, you know, from the 80s. And if it's good, then yeah, I'll watch it. The Evil Dead, great, I'll watch it.
Oh yeah, like I heard Sam Raimi wants to make another Evil Dead movie.
Yeah. If Bruce Campbell came back as Ash, that was the only if. He's like, I would love to direct it.
I would love to see Bruce Campbell return as Ash, because the last time we even saw him make an appearance as Ash was on Dead by Daylight.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in his character and his actual voice.
I think at this point, if they did it, and I don't really think we're going to see it this year. So
No.
I'm still kind of hesitant to talk about it, but I love Evil Dead. and I heard this news as well, and I do want to talk about it. So if they did a last one, I would want Ash to be in it, even a little bit of an older Bruce Campbell, like in a year or two or something, and he's kind of fighting, but he's training a successor, and I mean, it should be Mia.
Yes.
So if that movie happened, I would love for Bruce Campbell to come back. If not, honestly, I guess I'm okay with him retiring because he's older now. He probably can't do a lot of like the physical stuff as well as he could back in the day, obviously. So, he might just not want to do it anymore. He still does the voice for like games and stuff like that. But,
Oh yeah.
That's the only movie I would really want to see. Other than that, yeah, I'm excited for Candyman. Some other stuff, not so much. Fantasy Island, technically a reimagining, but kind of a remake of the TV series.
I really want to see Antlers.
Yeah.
That's
too.
probably my most anticipated one besides Halloween Kills.
Yeah. I'm excited for that probably the most. Followed up by Color Out of Space, which is coming out this month, actually. That's that Nicolas Cage one.
Okay, yeah.
With the Lovecraftian stuff.
What about the one with the kid from Stranger Things?
Which kid? Oh, The Turning?
Yeah, The Turning.
That one looks pretty good too. Again, that is technically a remake of a movie that has come out a couple times, and of course of the book. I think the original is called The Turning of the Screw, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a story. It's like a ghost story, but this movie has been done a few times. So this is like a contemporary version, but it does actually look pretty decent. I don't know. What is his name? Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's good. He looks like he's gonna be a little creep in this one. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Other than that, I'm also excited for the new James Wan Giallo film.
Oh, I forgot
Malignant.
about that.
Yeah, that one's coming out August 14th. You probably forgot about it because there's like nothing going on with it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think they're filming, if I'm not mistaken, but there haven't been like really any like actual set photos or really a lot more information than that. So I'm not sure what to expect. So I'm excited for a trailer at least. Other than that, yeah, Last Night in Soho is coming out, which is that Edgar Wright horror film, which seems pretty cool. And I'm also excited for Possessor, which is a kind of relatively unknown indie film that's been doing really well at festivals, and it's got some kind of like sci-fi twist to it with like people who can enter your mind via some technology or something and like possess your body, and they use the body to carry out like assassinations and shit like that. And something happens, like one gets like trapped in a body or something like that. So that one seems good. But there's actually a lot of like pretty cool stuff coming out this year. And I agree with you. I just don't want to see more bad paranormal films.
I think once we get into about like, I want to say like May or June, I think that's when like the horror of this year is going to take a turn and they're going to start releasing like the better films.
Yeah, that's completely possible. We've got some pretty good stuff, I think, for like the last.
Oh, The Invisible
half of the
Man.
year. The Invisible Man is coming out soon, actually, February 28th.
Oh, we have to go check that one.
But let's see, we've got like Escape Room 2 coming out the same day as Malignant, followed up by The Conjuring, Last Night in Soho, The Witches remake.
Oh shit!
Which could be good, or it could be total shit, but it could be good. Then Halloween Kills, and finally, like the last big one, Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh god!
Coming up. And so less kind of horror, more monster stuff, but I'm into that. So also Ghostbusters Afterlife. There's a new Purge movie, Morbius, which is that Marvel like vampire kind of thing. So yeah, there's some good stuff at the end of the year. I don't know. I'm excited for it. There's also like a few things that don't really have release dates that I'm excited for. The Pale Door, which is like some kind of Western horror thing. I think we talked about it before. And The Collector 3, The Collected.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's real?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah. I think we talked about it on the show before.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they announced it. So yeah, he's gonna be coming back and fighting the Collector for what I assume is the last time. And I liked both of the, first two movies, so I'm pretty excited for that one too. So, anything else that you don't want to see?
I'm gonna give everything a chance, honestly.
Okay.
I was talking about not going to, but I have to. So even if it's a remake,
Yeah, I mean, we got to do it for all you guys as well. But one thing I actually did want to see more of was more like horror based around like a myth or like urban legend or folktale, something like that. I think those movies are always pretty cool. It depends. Like as long as it's not Slender Man, then I'll accept it. I know. That was a nightmare. Jesus Christ.
probably worst horror movie of all time.
At least one of them.
It's up there with
it.
Blood Slaughter Massacre and what was the other one? Slaughterhouse Massacre.
Yeah.
And what's another bad one? Doom Asylum.
The Grudge.
Killjoy. The Grudge.
Oh.
Hereditary. Like what
No.
the fuck? I watched that yesterday for a third time and it was still great.
Oh, I'm sure. I still have. I haven't watched either Ari Aster film again, but I do want to. Yeah. The Midsummer 4K I'm sure is amazing, but do you think we're gonna get another movie like Midsummer this year?
I don't think so.
Is anything really, really, really gonna blow up? I think unless Antlers
I was
is
just about to say.
incredible, that's the only thing I really think would achieve that kind of level.
Maybe Halloween Kills.
If Halloween Kills is actually good and they don't put those stupid types of characters in it again and don't fuck up the writing, then I think it could be really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so we'll see. I think probably one of those two. I don't think The Turning is really going to get there.
I don't think Invisible Man is.
Yeah. I think Color Out of Space will be really good personally, but I don't know if it's going to reach that level. I don't know if it's going to have the actual exposure. It might become like The Void, where it's like this big cult, you know,
I
kind
wouldn't
of
mind
sci-fi
that.
thing. I wouldn't mind that either because that was an incredible film. So I am excited for that one. Other than that, I don't know. Like A Quiet Place Part 2,
It's just taking that Walking Dead route. So
yeah. It might feel like a little too generic, which is my fear. Ghostbusters Afterlife, I mean, it's not quite there because it's not going to be like a disturbing film. It could be a big film. I think a lot of people are still going to go watch it, but is it going to be as big as the first two? I think that really remains to be seen because this is going to be like a brand new generation of Ghostbusters.
I don't know, dude. Last year started off slow with Escape Room and The Prodigy, and then it started to pick up. So maybe like the better horror movies that are gonna come out this year haven't even been announced. So
It's possible, yeah. We've already seen trailers for some stuff we haven't yet, but there is a lot to be excited for. And really soon, actually, like this week, on Friday, is Underwater, the new kind of like aliens type underwater film with Kristen Stewart. We are going to be doing a review on it, I believe, if we do go see it. And I am actually kind of pumped about that one because it looks like a good movie to just kind of chill out and be entertained by. And I didn't get that with The Grudge. I hope I get it with Underwater. And I hope I continue to get it with a lot of these blockbuster movies. Because as long as if it's like good and fun, I'll take it at this point, you know?
yeah, I mean, nothing really scares us.
I'm always on the lookout though. Like at least if I'm not scared, I want to be like fucked up, like disturbed or
Yeah,
something.
like
you know?
I don't know, like I haven't been grossed out in a minute because I don't like those kind of movies.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't like just. I don't feel
Doesn't tickle
like,
your fancy.
No, I like to be scared. I like to be disturbed. I like to see someone putting a baby in the oven and then eating it, like something like that.
Some crazy shit.
Like I don't want to see it in real life, but I want to see it in a movie, of course.
That's fair. That's fair. I think a lot of us kind of feel the same way. So we'll see what happens. I am kind of excited for Underwater though, but I think we've taken enough time here, guys. That's kind of what we think about 2020 as a whole. I'm hoping for a really good year of horror. You know, there are those persistent, lingering kind of annoyances that people have with remakes, sequels, and just unoriginality. I hope this year addresses some of that and gives us some really thought-provoking, creative, and good horror films. And that's really all I can say. I think there's going to be some good stuff.
I hope.
Yeah.
I just hope.
I know. Me too, buddy. So I think that's going to wrap it up here for this episode, Fiends. Give us a shout out on Facebook and Instagram at Grave Discussions and on Twitter at GraveDiscSRD. And be sure to follow us, of course. You can go check out gravediscussions.net as well for the latest episode and a whole lot more. And that's going to do it here, folks. So we'll be back with our review of Underwater, most likely.
Yes, make sure you tune in for some Kristen Stewart bashing or appreciation next week on Grave Discussion. Most likely bashing.
This has been an SRD production.